Once a communist dictatorship, Poland is generally considered a successful democracy. But are those freedoms now at risk? With its new nationalist government caught in a deepening constitutional crisis and xenophobia and social division on the rise, we've been to find out why some of Poland's European neighbours are becoming concerned.
It was a chilling spectacle, reminiscent of Nazi Germany, when a large crowd of nationalists chanting "God, Honour and Fatherland" gathered outside the town hall in the Polish city of Wrocław with an effigy of a Hasidic Jew.
Traditionally, for the Polish far right, the Jew is the symbol of otherness, is the symbol of something that is foreign and strange and hostile.
This anti-refugee march happened last November, just 2 weeks after the election of the Law and Justice Party, Poland's new nationalist government.
The central government, by not responding, at least condones. And we think we may have reason to believe that actually they don't disapprove that much.
The new government's illiberal appetites, say its critics, have set the country on a dangerous path. Poland can match any nation in Europe for sheer cultural splendor, and since the fall of communism, it is widely considered to be Eastern Europe's standout success story. But behind the magnificent architecture, xenophobia and hate crime are on the rise, and some fear that history is in danger of repeating itself. A situation all the more striking in a country that suffered so much at the hands of the Nazis. 6 million Polish citizens perished in World War II, many at death camps like Auschwitz. The newly opened Jewish Museum bears testament to Poland's rich cultural past.
For centuries, it was one of the most multicultural societies in Europe. Well then, because of the tragedy of the Holocaust, Poland became almost completely monocultural.
Poland remains the most homogeneous country in Europe, and that's the way its right-wing zealots want it to stay. This is November the 11th, Poland's Independence Day, a time when ethnic minorities do well to stay indoors, as the streets of Warsaw and Poland's other major cities are claimed by nationalists. This is a Catholic priest, Father Jacek Miodle, addressing tens of thousands in Warsaw.
My nie chcemy w Polsce przemocy, nie chcemy agresji w imię Allaha, nie chcemy gwałtów, nie chcemy samosądów i nie chcemy terroru. My musimy się temu przeciwstawić.
Just a year ago, such demagoguery would have been widely dismissed as reactionary rhetoric. But in the wake of Europe's refugee crisis, changes to Poland's political landscape are coming thick and fast. Last October's parliamentary elections in Poland were won by PiS, the Law and Justice Party, which garnered 37% of the vote, giving the party leader, Jarosław Kaczyński, a narrow majority in both the upper and lower houses. Since then, the party has sought to consolidate its victory by tinkering with the constitution. It's plunged the country into a crisis that no one predicted.
Wygraliśmy wybory, ale nie mamy prawa tworzyć prawa. Nie mamy prawa przebudowywać Polski. A Polskę przebudować trzeba. I to musi być wielka przebudowa, na miarę naszej historii.
They have this feeling that they are the true defenders of Polishness. They are the ones who will put this country to rights, but they don't understand democratic procedures. They don't understand that there are things, even if you win the election, there are things that you can't do.
As PIS began to implement a controversial program, putting the freedom of the press and judiciary in question, thousands poured onto the streets to protest. Things came to a head when they arbitrarily replaced 5 independent judges on Poland's constitutional court with political appointees.
This is the final guarantee of respect for the constitution in the country. If they can manage to destroy this constitutional tribunal or pack it with their own people, it means that they can do whatever they like.
The country has never been more divided, with 56% of Poles saying they feel their democracy is in danger. A number that includes Poland's most famous political figure, Solidarity leader Lech Wałęsa, the man credited with defeating communism in the 1980s and bringing democracy to the country.
Nie dał prawa na takie zachowanie, na to nie dał mało, nie dał nawet personalnie. 56% zauważa, że to nie jest to. Obudził się demon.
In its first 2 months in office, PIS has passed several controversial laws, usually in late-night sessions. It has also moved quickly to purge political opponents from government agencies and state-run organizations. State television and radio have been put in the hands of party loyalists. Polish TV's news chief, Maciej Czajkowski, was one of the first to be sacked.
The head of the main news bulletin and myself, we were fired, and next day it came tsunami, basically, and all our team, most of our team, was fired as well.
The fact that the public television news programs are turning into propaganda programs which reflect the government view is something that is driving liberal-minded people crazy.
To make matters worse, the government has granted its Secret Service wide-ranging surveillance powers, which can be used to eavesdrop on journalists.
This affects not only the right to private life, but it can affect the confidentiality between lawyers and their clients. It can affect journalistic freedom insofar as the confidentiality of sources could be affected. So it is a concern that can affect the fabric of democracy more broadly.
Muzniaks is in town on a fact-finding mission amid mounting concern across Europe that Poland's democracy is at risk.
I heard a lot of frustration about the pace of change, that laws were adopted in an untransparent way, and this is why my primary message to the authorities was slow down, consult with your professional associations, consult with your international partners, and make sure you don't make some serious mistakes that afterwards will cause you a lot of trouble.
Despite holding no official title or constitutional role apart from being an MP, Kaczynski wields absolute power over the ruling party. He has hand-picked the president, Andrzej Duda, and the prime minister, Beata Szydło, and no one doubts who is calling the shots.
It's a bit beyond my mandate to comment on the role of Mr. Kaczynski. I must deal with the officials such as they are. I would just hope that any messages that I convey, both publicly and to elected officials, penetrate to those who make the decisions.
We wanted to talk to the PIS to get a response to opposition claims and find out what drives its combative political philosophy. Our requests for an interview went unanswered. But clues to its mindset may lie in the national catastrophe of 2010, when a plane carrying the then president, Lech Kaczynski, Yaroslav's twin brother, crashed.
This party believes that what killed President Kaczynski in the Smolensk air crash in 2010 was not, as the State Commission for Air Crashes has established, a combination of human error and sheer stupidity, but that it was a dastardly Russian plot to kill the president with the connivance of the Polish government.
The Smolensk disaster is Poland's 9/11 moment, etched into the collective psyche. Many political and cultural figures were on their way to commemorate the Katyn massacre, a wartime atrocity in which thousands of Polish officers were gunned down by the Red Army when their plane crashed in thick fog. EU Council President Donald Tusk was Polish Prime Minister at the time. Some in PIS openly accused Russia's Vladimir Putin of being behind the plane crash and charged Tusk with a cover-up. Conspiracy theories are not uncommon in the Law and Justice Party. Kaczynski also claims that Lech Wałęsa, the Solidarity leader, was a communist agent, something Wałęsa vehemently denies.
Oni wzięli wzór z Rosji, ze Związku Radzieckiego. Rosja, Związek Radziecki nie istnieje bez wroga. I różni byli w głowie kapitaliści, Amerykanie, Czeczenia. To było potrzebne do rządzenia. I oni stosują ten sam model. Szukają wroga, wyciągają wrogi po to, żeby no właśnie, żeby przez zagrożenie rządzić.
There are no softer targets than the refugees now coming to Europe. In an infamous speech made during the election campaign, Kaczynski claimed that immigrants had imposed Sharia in Sweden and that they might cause epidemics because they carry various parasites and protozoa which don't affect their organisms but could be dangerous here.
Now, this in a country where the collective memory is stamped with a Nazi-era poster showing a disgusting louse with a Jewish face and the caption, "Jews, lies, typhoid fever." This was a direct line to Nazi propaganda against Jews.
Such rhetoric from a leading politician is music to the ears of extremists. Anti-refugee rallies, some violent, have been held in cities across the country, and there has been an upsurge in racist attacks. Mohammed Al-Magami is a student at Poland's renowned Lodz Film School, where the likes of directors Roman Polanski and Krzysztof Kieślowski learned their trade. Away during the election campaign, on his return, Mohammed noticed a new chill in the air.
I'm here for 2 years and a half, and all this started 5 months ago. Before, it was not like this. I was on vacation in summer, and after that I came back. When I saw Poland, it was not Poland that I experienced before. It was really different.
Like many, Mohammed is now often the subject of racist taunts. Keeping a cool head, he was able to catch one such incident on his mobile phone.
I just entered the shop, and this guy was standing there, and he was looking at me with a very hateful eyes. He really wanted to know where I'm from, and I told him I'm from Palestine. He was following me, saying bad stuff about Allah, about Islam, about me. Also he was saying bad stuff about the refugees.
Professor Pankowski is director of the Never Again Association, which documents hate crime in Poland.
Too often, the perpetrators of racist acts are feeling they can get away with it, which is a problem.
How dangerous is it for ethnic minorities to travel alone at night, for example?
It's very dangerous. When I'm going out, I'm 70% sure that something can happen. Sometimes they will not attack you, they will just insult you.
Pierre showed us a photo taken following an attack which left him hospitalized after he was dragged to a toilet by 8 men, beaten and left for dead.
And they come like right behind me, and they took me in the toilet, they started beating me, and even some people who was in the toilet were just laughing. And then they saw that I was not able even to move. Maybe they will think that I'm dead, so that's why they left me. Because I was bleeding, I couldn't see anything.
And nobody came to your assistance?
No, no one. No one.
In the past, we used to register 5 to 10 cases a week on average. And in the last half year, we had about 5 or 10 cases a day.
But the tourists who flock to Poland's magnificent cities like Krakow and Gdansk are oblivious to any racist undercurrent. Take Wrocław, this year's European capital of culture. While these artistic festivities show off one side of the city, you don't have to go far to find another.
When you watch it on TV or you read about it, it looks great. And of course, we're proud being capital of culture, but I think that whole society of Wrocław, whole community should be involved into being capital of culture.
Maciej took us to a Roma community on the edge of the city. People here say they've suffered frequent racial attacks.
Oni mówią, że nie jesteśmy taki kulturami z Rumunii, nie? Oni mówią, że jesteśmy brudni, taki coś, Rumunii, no i nie lubią nas.
There have been 5 arson attacks here.
No było takie, jak chłopcy, który Polaki, zapalił taki coś, co było suche, nie? I zapaliło, nie? No i mi woda i wszystko było tak i było pożary i już skończone było, nie?
You can see here right-wing symbols like this, the circle and the cross.
And let's not forget, it was here, in Europe's capital of culture, that the effigy of a Hasidic Jew was torched. But according to Krzysztof Maj, the capital of culture's director, these problems have little to do with art.
I nie chcemy walczyć z demonstrantami. Nie chcemy ich spychać do jakiegoś narożnika, naznaczając, że oni myślą źle lub myślą dobrze. Chcemy, żeby kultura była pomocna w poznawaniu się, ale proszę nie oczekiwać od kultury rozwiązania wszystkich problemów Europy, a zwłaszcza problemu uchodźców.
But ignoring Wrocław's racist undercurrent may not be an option. One of the stars of the Capital of Culture's promotional videos, Mustafa, was himself the victim of a racist attack in which his nose was broken. And yet it's Muslims who are repeatedly vilified in the Polish press.
Islam jest religią niezwykle ekspansywną, czasami niezwykle agresywną. Środkowo wschodnioeuropejskie, takie jak Polacy, mają szansę przetrwać, no w przeciwieństwie do wielu narodów zachodnioeuropejskich, które niestety w moim przekonaniu, o ile nie nastąpi tam jakieś trzęsienie ziemi społeczne, po prostu demograficznie, kulturowo, pod naporem islamu zginą.
Winnicki is one of a new batch of ultra-right-wing MPs now in Parliament. Though way to the right even of the PIS, his tiny party shares many of Kaczynski's objectives and has a good working relationship with the government. He is on his way to meet Tatiana Vesterling of Germany's neo-fascist anti-immigrant group Pegida, who is in town to support a demonstration organized by the nationalists.
Nawet w swojej najnowszej historii pomiędzy Polską, pomiędzy Niemcami.
Einmischung in eure nationalen Angelegenheiten.
And this is what Poland's nationalists are afraid of: refugees. At this center on the outskirts of Warsaw live a few dozen families traumatized by their experiences.
Не дай Аллах им такое же, что мы испытали. Не дай Аллах. Я даже врагу не пожелала бы, чтобы далеко от своих родных, своих друзей и своих близких. Тебе по телефону звонят, говорят, у тебя мама умерла. Ты не можешь поехать даже. Боишься, что с твоими родными что-то случится.
Over the years, Poland has granted asylum to fewer refugees than any other major European country, about 200 annually. And yet, paradoxically, Poland's biggest export is its people. 2 million have left in search of a better life to other EU countries. Poland has the fastest growing economy in the EU, is the biggest beneficiary of EU subsidies, and yet has reneged on its commitment to take in a meagre 4,500 asylum seekers as part of the EU's efforts to deal with the unfolding refugee crisis.
Had it been something else, I imagine the Polish reaction would have been more forthcoming. But the refugee crisis and the idea that Poland might actually take in some refugees hit a very raw nerve.
The refugee crisis has unleashed an extraordinary deluge of hate speech on the internet, with some calling for asylum seekers to be exterminated.
Jest w tej chwili tak, że pod swoim nazwiskiem, ze swoim zdjęciem, przytulając, jesteś na Facebooku, tak? Masz swoje zdjęcie, w którym przytulasz swojego kotka i masz tam swoje imię i nazwisko i wszyscy wiedzą, że to ty. I piszesz, że te muslimy powinny iść do gazu i że mamy w Polsce świetny obóz, tylko trzeba jeszcze raz uruchomić ogrzewanie.
As grotesque as it sounds, there have indeed been many calls on far-right websites to reopen Auschwitz for the refugees. Perhaps more than anywhere else, Auschwitz stands as a stark reminder of what can happen when racism is allowed to go unchecked.
This building is just the beginning of the extermination process. When people were murdered inside the gas chamber, and around 700 people could be killed here at the time. And in March 1942, they moved killing operation to the forest in Birkenau, next to the huge concentration camp. Here you can see the rail line and you can see the unloading platform where transports of Jews came to be exterminated. And on both sides, you can see the ruins of gas chambers. And all along this monument, you can see those plaques with inscriptions in different languages. And the message here is as follows. Forever let this place be a cry of despair and a warning to humanity, where the Nazis murdered about 1.5 million men, women and children, mainly Jews from various countries of Europe. This place is a shouting warning. This is a place where we can learn what humanity is capable of doing, that people are able to hate others so much that they are ready to create an industrial way of killing others. I believe it will always be a huge warning for us, and it should be a warning to us.
Back in the capital, Warsaw, there's no end in sight to the political unrest. This demonstration, organized by the Committee for the Defense of Democracy, attracted tens of thousands, worried that Poland is losing many of the freedoms it fought so hard for. With a majority of people now feeling that the President and the Prime Minister are little more than puppets in the hands of one of the country's most divisive figures, the government and its critics remain poles apart.
Last month, Poland's Constitutional Tribunal ruled against legislation amending the way it operates, which it said limited the court's ability to function independently. The government rejected that ruling, but is now holding talks with opposition parties to resolve the crisis.